You're listening
to the CD Baby
CD Baby
DIY
Musician Podcast.
Hey there, and welcome to episode number 53 of the CD Baby DIY Musician Podcast. My name is Kevin Bruner, your host for the show. And on this edition of the podcast, we're going to hear from Bill Thompson, who teaches a mobile marketing and commerce course at Full Sail University in Orlando, Florida. The cell phone has rapidly evolved. It's hard to even think of another technology that has changed as quickly as mobile phone technology. The way we use our phones has changed drastically as well. What started as just a portable phone, remember all the annoying people broadcasting their conversations in the middle of restaurants while they talked loudly on their phone, to what is now a pocket computer. In many cases, the actual phone is the least used feature of the device. That's how it is with me and my iPhone. For the indie artist, the mobile phone offers a world of possibility. It takes the technology formerly only available from our computers at home and puts it into real-world situations where interactivity can be maximized. With that being said, let's get to my interview with Bill. All right. Well, Bill, thanks for taking time out of your day to be on the podcast.
Thanks, Kevin. Glad to be here.
Well, why don't you start out by telling us a little bit about Full Sail University and here in Orlando, Florida, and then we can get into some about what the course you teach, which is mobile marketing and commerce.
Sure. Well, we're a media school. Been here since 1979. Have over 6,000 students. We have degrees in recording arts, film, digital design, show production, many other areas, including entertainment business, which is the area that I'm in. Mm-hmm. I specifically teach in the master's program, and I teach a course called Mobile Marketing and Commerce, which is one of the newest areas of the entertainment industry. Mm-hmm. As far as my background, I'm a lifelong musician. I've been a CD Baby artist for over 2 years. I'm a voting member of the National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences and cast ballots each year for the Grammy Awards. Mm-hmm. Grammy Awards are always looking at new areas to get into, and one of them they look into now is digital distribution, including mobile. So mobile is one of the newest areas of the entertainment industry and probably the fastest growing.
Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit about your class. I mean, I know we're going to talk about mobile marketing today, but I'm kind of curious of just a quick overview of where you might start and how you end up, and then we can kind of get into some of the details.
What we do is I explained how quickly mobile has been growing. What mobile is, very specifically, it is doing business through mobile devices such as iPhones. And around the world, no technology has been more rapidly adopted and adapted than the mobile phone. Before 1995, very few people in the world had ever seen a mobile phone. Today, more than 1 out of 3 people, 2.8 billion people worldwide now use them.
Wow. So what kind of marketing can you do through a mobile phone? I mean, I know that there's ringtones, but beyond that, I mean, what can this platform provide the marketing community and musicians in general?
Everybody thinks ringtones, and you almost have to offer ringtones, but you're not going to stand out from the crowd by offering ringtones. There's also something called ringbacks, and what these are is when somebody calls you. Before the phone, you answer the phone, they hear your favorite song playing. So that's called a ring back. But more specifically, a big area specifically with music is something called viral marketing. This has been incorporated very successfully by artists such as Madonna. And here's the way it works. Basically, you put an ad on your website or anywhere you want to put it, announcing that somebody can dial in using their mobile phone, using a short phone number called a short code. They can dial in and they can actually send a text message and request a free download of a song. Mm-hmm. Now, here's what's nice about this. Before you are able to download the song, you're given an offer asking Would you like to enter up to maybe 4 or 5 of your friends' cell phone numbers so they can receive the same offer? So what happens, they receive a text message saying, hey, so-and-so, your friend thought you might be interested in the new Madonna song. Well, they get that offer, but before they can download it, they're asked, would they like to enter 4 or 5 of their friends' phone numbers? Mm-hmm. It quickly explodes. That's why it's called viral marketing. The viral aspect to it, within days, some music artists have found they've been able to have more than 10,000 people on that list requesting downloads. In some cases like Madonna, it's over 100,000 within just a few days. Getting a free download, that many more people now are aware of your new CD coming out, current songs you're doing, things like that. So that's very unique to mobile devices.
Is there services that provide that that function for artists that are out there? Because actually we had a phone call into the podcast recently. They wanted more info on that, and I honestly didn't know how they could go about it. They wanted some sort of like text your number here to join the community or whatever.
There are companies that will provide this. Right now, you almost need somebody to set it up for you. It's a little difficult to program on your own. One challenge is we have 4 different phone companies, phone providers in this country, AT&T, Sprint, Verizon, and T-Mobile, all with different technologies. So somebody with extreme programming skills might be able to do it, but usually right now you're probably going to need a company to set it up for you. To answer your question, where can you get the information? Well, you can go to the website of the Mobile Marketing Association, MMAglobal.com. They have information there. I recommend websites like mobilemarketer.com because they have current events which mention cell phone providers and companies that set these campaigns up. Also, you can also just Google it, setting up a mobile campaign, and list of companies come up.
You mentioned the technology being different for those 4 carriers. Is there a move to integrate all these together and bring those all, at least where it's a workable playing field across all companies?
Yep, they're being prodded by Congress, actually. As most people are aware, as the television networks move off of the over-the-air networks, the bandwidth that's being given out to the mobile phone companies, Congress, in exchange for allowing the mobile phone operators to operate under the former TV bandwidth, are letting them know that they have to consolidate their technologies. So that is rapidly coming. Probably, I wouldn't say by the end of 2009, but probably by 2010, 2011, we should see consolidation.
What other marketing ideas have you seen where the mobile phone has become an integral part or the main focus of an artist campaign?
We see this concept called interstitials. Now, what interstitials are, they're better known as pop-up ads. Here's the way it works. Before somebody goes on to a specific website, a short pop-up ad might show up promoting an artist's music, an event. The key is not to keep them on for more than about 15 seconds. It's been found if it's just a few seconds, people will tend to pay attention to it. If not, they'll just move on. One method that's being used successfully is keep a clock counting down, 15, 14, 13. Okay, I might as well watch it. And then it's not worth walking away for 15 seconds. So that's one way. Another is location commerce, L-commerce. It responds to where you are. These phones have devices, GPS devices in them, where it can be recognized where you are. So as an example, you could be at a death metal concert and you could receive some type of marketing specifically to fans at a death metal concert or just things like that. So that's another technology that's used also, location-based commerce.
So you could have an application that tells you maybe you happen to be here in Orlando and tells you all the music that you should check out in Orlando, or if you like this band, go check out that band.
Another thing you could do, you could walk into a Best Buy, and Best Buy might let you know, hey, 10% off all CDs, go on over. There's another technology called basically quick response codes, QR codes. Just arrived here in the United States in October. They've been overseas in Japan for a couple of years. What they are, they're basically barcodes. You take a picture of it with your mobile phone, it takes you right to the website.
Wow.
And based on what you are looking at, you may get suggestions for similar music. So that's pretty nice, especially if you're out watching a band play. Well, the old days, the band had to set up email list. Literally, they can just pass around an index card now saying, if you're interested, just take a picture of our QR code right to the band's website.
Wow.
That's nice technology with mobile phones.
Yeah. Have you spent much time looking into like all the applications that are being developed for like the iPhone and seeing any new technologies coming down the pipe there?
There are so many things out there. It's almost like it would take all day just to begin to touch the surface. But yeah, the Apple iPhone is pretty much setting the standard right now, especially with their applications. You have artists like Trent Reznor of Nine Inch Nails. What he allows you to do now is to actually remix his songs, and you can now do it from iPhones, things like that. Wow. Alternative versions of songs, maybe just a remix of a song. Lots of things like that. The key is really to do what's called mobile branding. That's your key. What branding is turning a customer into a fan. There are some companies that are really good at this. Harley-Davidson motorcycles, they brag that our customers are so loyal, they'll tattoo the name of the company right onto their bodies. Mm-hmm. Walmart, you don't see people walking around Walmart tattoos. Well,
no, you don't.
You don't usually, but music artists are really good with this. You know, I know somebody personally has a Motley Crue tattoo right on their arm. You know, How do mobile phones do that? Well, first of all, mobile phones are immediate. If you see a band you like or you are checking out a CD, you can click on the QR code right to the website. You don't have to wait till you go home and type in a website. Mm-hmm. Intimate. Mobile phones are the most intimate electronic device people own. It's been shown, Kevin, that people are more willing to lend you their automobile than their mobile phone. They keep these things with them. They're interactive. You can go back and forth. You know, Trent sends you something for 9 Inch Nails. You go in for something else, back and forth. Obviously, they're mobile. You take them with you. You get immersed in them. VH1 just announced yesterday, actually, that they've just upgraded their mobile site to provide even more things. So things like that. The mobile phone really can be used to really turn a customer into a fan. That's mobile branding.
Are there specific opportunities that you're seeing for the indie artist that, like you mentioned, the campaign by Madonna or some things that Trent Reznor has done? I'm sure that they have a bit of resources behind them, helping them to build an application or kind of a web support for that mobile campaign. Are there some simpler ideas or just a way that artists can go, what can I do to start using this platform right now?
There are, and a lot of it's just awareness, to be aware the artist is out there. Mm-hmm. What artists can do, independent artists, you might just have a mobile phone company set up a simple, hey, click on this for a free download, opportunity to enter a contest of some sort. Mm-hmm. One thing about contests, though, this is where you always want to check with the legal people. Make sure you're not accused of running a lottery. Yeah. Usually the way around that, have somebody do a simple little questionnaire or something, answer a question like, who's the 16th president of the United States? Well, Abraham Lincoln. You can get around that. But yeah, what they do specifically, the key is to first figure out who's your target audience. Who are you trying to hit? And a lot of times, you start out saying, well, I'm trying to hit people interested in this kind of music. Well, what I would suggest, go see what some of the more established artists in that genre are doing with mobile and try to come up with similar ideas. You could hit very specific targets. As an example, maybe you're into experimental music. It's been found a lot of people interested in science fiction are also involved in they like experimental music because that's the background of a lot of science fiction. Maybe tie into some of the Star Trek fans around the world. They have their own mobile links now, and maybe you could promote yourself through that avenue. Mm-hmm. If you do instrumental music, maybe find people going on to weather sites. A lot of times the background on Weather Channel stuff, things like that. Mm-hmm. Lots of ideas. With stuff like the iPhone and building an application for that, is that an expensive endeavor? It's like if you have a band and you got an idea for a simple application that might increase the interactivity between you and your fans. Is that something that's easy undertaking for It actually is, right. Setting up a mobile campaign right now through a mobile company is relatively expensive still. If you want to do a viral campaign like I just mentioned, As of today, we're looking early 2009. As of the date of what we're talking about here, it's still about $10,000. But that's expected to come down rapidly. I've seen estimates that within a year, maybe 18 months, you're down to below $1,000. Just like the internet, it cost about $10,000 to set up a website mid-1995. Today you can do it for free, basically. That's going to happen with mobile. But to answer your question, to set up an application on iPhone, your total cost in many cases can be near zero on those. Also, Google has an application called Android. You type in Google Android on Google, takes you right to the site. Both Apple and Google will provide you what's called a software development kit that allows you to set this stuff up virtually for no cost. And then the idea is you put it out there, hopefully somebody will pay for it. One difference between Apple and Google, Apple's are set up for the Apple iPhone. Google's pretty much for everybody else. Apple does still monitor it and say yes or no, we're going to offer it or not. Google, unless it's obviously something that would violate various copyright laws or obscenity laws or something, they'll pretty much just let it go on there. So yeah, relatively inexpensive.
Do you have any advice for artists that are wanting to start taking mobile a little bit more serious, or even just trends that they should be watching in the mobile technology?
I do. I do, actually. And a couple of things I can't emphasize enough. Number one, I mentioned it earlier. Who are you trying to reach? I hear this all the time. Everybody. Well, there's 6.4 billion people out there in the world. Everybody is kind of tough, right? Yeah. Are you really trying to hit a 75-year-old grandmother? Are you trying to hit, a person doesn't even follow music? If I walk up to somebody and say on the street, what do you think of the Eagles? Well, I may get two answers. A great football team. Next year they're going to the Super Bowl, or I just love Hotel California. Number one, identify your audience. Number two, very important, what kind of music do you do? I hear this all the time. I've been involved in the music industry for over 40 years. We do everything. Okay, play some Mozart. Well, I don't do Mozart. Well, you said you do everything.
Yeah.
Define what you do. And one way to do that, you go to some online radio sites. Pandora's a good one. Just look for breakdowns as to what do you do. Different genres, and see if you can find something like that. So that's number one. What do you do, and who are you trying to reach? And then basically based on that, look at who artists that are similar to you, where are they advertising, where are they going with mobile, and try to tag on to some of the same things there. And that will get you one big step up. And the other one is constantly promote yourself. Remember, the world is your market. CD Baby has put me on to sites in Europe, Asia, just everywhere around the world. And that's another one. What part of the world is interested in your music? And that's what I would say also. Mobile is actually more advanced around the world than it is in the U.S.
Yeah, and that's probably what a lot of our artists don't realize. You'd mentioned some technology earlier in Japan being adapted in the U.S. It's been there for a couple of years. How can us American artists, we have an international listening audience to this podcast as well, but how can the artists in the U.S. kind of stay on top of those trends and take advantage of those trends that are happening in other countries, but they may not be aware of yet because it hasn't hit here, because it is a global market, and your style of music may be hugely popular in another country. And how do you stay on top of that?
Well, as a self-promotion for myself, I would say you can always check my website out, which is basically based on CD Baby's distribution, BillTmusic.com. BillTmusic.com, click on purchase, and you will see mobile digital downloading services around the world, many of which offer mobile. Another way to do it is simply type in on Google European music downloads, European cell phone companies, Asian, African, and they do come up fairly quickly. And the way you can do it, well, I've been going through CD Baby primarily, but basically as a little prod to them, sometimes what I do, I will simply send an email. They usually have contact information. Let them know what kind of music I do. Let them know that there might be a market there with their audience. I'll send them over to my CD Baby site, which has music samples, and I find many times they have a relationship with CD Baby. If I don't hear from them, I send them another email about 4 days later. I just keep doing it until they tell me to quit contacting, which they never do. And I find a month or two later, guess what? They finally get tired of hearing from me, and they go check it out and say, "Yep, sounds pretty good. We'll go ahead and go with it." And a lot of times they have relationships with CD Baby anyway, and that's how I think a lot of the relationships are established. One reason mobile is so much more advanced overseas than in the United States, it's not because we don't have the technology. I mean, we have technology. It's because our internet is so much better here. The internet in Europe and parts of Asia is just not as robust as here. They had to go to mobile first. So their music fans over there are more used to getting things through mobile devices. Our fans still primarily get theirs through the internet.
So do you think we'll see a music store in the near future that exists solely by mobile device and not even having to access a computer to interface with it?
We already have it, actually, and that's iTunes through the Apple iPhone. And we'll see more of that. The key is the phones, and I call them phones. In reality, the iPhone is really a miniature computer. As the technology gets better, that's when that'll take off. Right now, realistically, if you have a typical mobile phone and are just trying to play a song through the speakers of a mobile phone, you're not going to see a huge market for that. Ringtone's one thing, but as people begin used to listening to iPhones through their earbuds and earphones and things like that, yeah, that market really, really will take off.
Well, that's one thing that might be interesting for you to highlight is the difference between the technology of maybe like a new iPhone as compared to some people that still have just a traditional cell phone.
Sure.
And highlighting what capabilities those specific units might have and capabilities that others may not that pertain to, music functionality and just accessing internet stores and things like that.
The older phones that most people are still using, a lot of them are monochromatic. That means they're one-color screens. They're also text only. You can't get pictures, are very limited. The iPhones now, you can get pictures, color, video. Also, the screen sizes are a little bit bigger. That's an important point. A campaign that you're running on your internet website may be not quite what you think when it's on a small cell phone screen. So the iPhone screens are a little bit bigger. The iPhones have generally easier internet access. What's been found is if you try to go to a lot of websites with a mobile phone, the websites either don't work properly or you're only getting, it's slow, it's hard to use. More companies are setting up mobile websites, mobile versions of their websites. Nice thing about the iPhone, though, it can pretty much go to either the mobile version of the website or directly to the regular version of the website. Another difference coming along are the speeds. We use in the United States right now what's called 3G, third generation. The reason Congress is forcing the phone companies to give up the over-the-air broadcast is by laws of physics. It's called 700 megahertz bandwidth. That is the area that is most efficient by laws of physics to transmit sound and audio. That's why the TV stations took them in the 1940s. We will soon be going to 4G, fourth generation. What kind of jump is that? You're going basically from dial-up to T1 lines on the internet. Will it happen right away? No, probably. The phone companies have to upgrade their technologies. We're still looking 2010, probably 2011 before it fully comes online. But with those capabilities, you'll be able to transmit not only MP3 quality of songs, you'll be able to transmit CD quality, high-def video, interactivity, be able to download 25-minute electronica songs within seconds, things like that. So I think the key for music artists is to keep up on the technology and be some of the first ones. Because I'll tell you, Kevin, the first people that jumped on ringtones made a lot of money. Nowadays, it's almost ho-hum, I've got a ringtone. That's the key. Be some of the first to get on it. That's what I'd say.
You mentioned having mobile versions of websites as well as traditional. How do you go about catering your website so it works well in a mobile platform?
What you basically do is you downgrade it. Basically, what you need to do is probably take off some of the graphics, especially the animation, because that tends to slow down current mobile phone sites. Also, what you probably want to do is basically simplify a lot of your screens. Basically, and then also look at the fonts. I can't emphasize that one enough. Look at how big the lettering is, because again, as it shrinks to a mobile phone screen, it might be hard to read. Just most of the video, if you've got video and a lot of animation, I would probably go back to more the simpler versions for mobile sites. Just things like that would basically work. Rather than embed samples of your music right onto your website, I would probably provide a link to something like CD Baby where your samples would be there. It's a little bit easier to work that way. So things like that.
When you go to a site, I know sometimes I'll be using my iPhone and it'll automatically kick over to a mobile site. How do you do that? So if a band, has their traditional website or something that's a little bit more robust technology-wise, but they want to have it accessible for mobile fans, how do you set that up so it?
It's fairly simple. Usually, whichever way you set up your website, you'll find, depending who you use set up your website, you actually can set a couple of commands that would actually, if it recognizes it's coming from a mobile phone, which there you'd probably want to go to the Mobile Marketing Association, MMAglobal.com. They have some technology papers on there. It basically then moves you right to the mobile site. It recognizes you're coming from a mobile phone. What you probably want to also, once they move to the mobile site, offer the option that they can then go back to the regular site, because somebody with an iPhone probably is just as happy going to the full site. I find myself, depending on what I'm doing, like Amazon as an example, if I want to go to Amazon just to look up some information, Amazon gives you a choice of both. There's some programming technology issues, but usually the MMA site usually addresses that. If not, that's where you might have to consult one of the companies I mentioned earlier that set up mobile campaigns and just see what they recommend.
Well, I know you have some keys to success to mobile technology and music. Why don't you tell us a little bit about those?
Couple of them, sure, Kevin. A couple of them would be no push advertising. Don't send junk emails out to people through text messages. First of all, it's against the law in the United States. What you want to do is have people willing to sign up to receive information from you. Here's what's been found. When you ask people, what do you think about advertising? I hate it. I hate it. But then you ask people, why'd you watch Super Bowl? Oh, well, I watched it for the commercials. Well, why'd you watch it for the commercials if you hate advertising? Well, because the commercials are entertaining. So people actually, if you ask them, do you want to be advertised to? No. But what you do is you find out something they're interested in and ask them, what if it's a guitar player? What do you think about advertising? I hate it. Well, what about getting promotional information from Guitar Player magazine? Oh, yeah, well, I'll take that. So don't do push advertising. It's called pull advertising. Ask people, put up a promo on a website or something, or a mobile site. Hey, would you like to receive some information about us? We'll offer you a free download. Sure. And in that process, would you mind receiving promotional material from us occasionally? Keep you up to date on what we're doing? Sure. And if they say they want to do that, don't send them anything more than about once or twice a week. Don't bombard them with stuff. So keep it simple. Don't forget about integration. Mobile is not going to replace the internet. It's not going to replace television, other forms of marketing. If you're a band that plays live, it's not going to replace your live performances. It's part of the whole campaign. So it's integration. Remember, entertainment works. People love to be entertained. That's why so many successful TV commercials have entertainment in it. Keep people entertained. Again, look at what other artists are doing. You don't copy their idea, but use it for inspiration. Sponsorships. Don't forget sponsorships. There's a lot of money in sponsorships. You might hook up with somebody that's willing to sponsor you, hitting their same target audience. I'll give you some examples. NASCAR. It's a multi-billion-dollar company right now. They still don't do well with the R&B demographic or Latin market. You can figure out a way to bring them that demographic. They'll give you more money than you ever knew existed. Sponsorships. Keep it personal. People respond well to marketing and promotions if it's interesting and relevant to them. So keep it personal. Again, location matters. If you find out that somebody's going to be at a location for an alternative concert and you do alternative music, maybe you could hook up to promotion placed on the Jumbotrons. That's being done now. Companies like that. There are companies out there now that set up mobile campaigns on digital billboards where people play games with their mobile phones. Maybe hook up for something like that. Exploit the functionality of these devices. As the new iPhones and similar phones come out, figure out what they can do. Figure out a way to be one of the first ones to offer that. Mm-hmm. So just things like that. Remember, we are now at our first wireless generation. There are people now, children ages, I would say probably 14 and below, who do not know a world without mobile phones. Mm-hmm. It's the world they grew up in. And every year they get older and older. Don't forget that generation also. Mm-hmm. Don't forget older people now jumping on mobile. Older people have discretionary income. They will spend it, but give them a reason to spend it. So I would say things like that.
So when you're running a text campaign, like you were saying, don't send junk or text spam. Right. Is there if I'm an artist, can I collect phone numbers? Is there a way where I can collect phone numbers through my website and then send out a text message that gets blasted out to all those people?
Yeah, but you have to have permission from everybody. Basically, you offer them something for free. Contest, free download, exclusive download, free merchandise, discounted merchandise, exclusive merchandise. And when you do that, when they're asking for that, say, is it okay for us to keep you on a list where we might occasionally send you some information? As long as they agree to that, yep, you're set to go.
So could they go to a website and just say, hey, sign up to receive text messages?
Absolutely.
So they don't have to, if you just...
Yeah, many bands do that.
So, and you would just have a form that keeps that
That's all you do. It's just a database you keep, and out you go. And again, you could ask them occasionally when you send it out, hey, by the way, do you got any friends that might be interested? And just give us their text number. We'll send it off to them.
Is there software that manages that for you? So when, I've got 1,000 phone numbers, I'm obviously not going to text them individually, but that can send out a mass text? And
there is. That's where you go back to those mobile phone setup providers. Uh-huh. And again, mobile marketing associations got links to that also. And yeah, there's a lot of different software out there. So what I recommend is to do searches more based on that, as opposed to just listing specific software, which in 6 months could have changed.
Yeah.
I recommend it's better to go out and just check those resources. Again, go to websites like mobilemarketer.com. RCR Wireless is another one, .com, where they find out who they're using for this stuff. Also, if you look at music artists, many times at the bottom, it'll say powered by. Yeah. And there's another company that's setting these things up. So, yeah, a lot of resources.
Well, unless there's any last comments you want to make, I think we've got a lot of good information there.
What I say about teaching mobile marketing and commerce, this is our Full Sail is one of the first schools, I'm told, in the country, if not the world, offering this course. The motto of our course is we are state of the art until tomorrow. So that's what I would say to anybody. Don't get complacent. You may be state of the art today. You'll be old hat tomorrow. So stay up to date.
All right. Well, thank you for taking time out of your day, Bill, to talk to us. And I know our artists will appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Kevin. And I say to my fellow music artists, let's all do it together. It's a new world, new opportunity for us.
All right. Well said.
Thanks a lot.
I want to extend a special thanks to Bill and all of the great staff at Full Sail University. They have an excellent program there in Orlando, Florida. So if you've been thinking about going to school to learn more about music business, I would say definitely consider them for one of your choices. Also, Bill referenced the Mobile Marketing Association website, so I'll put the link to their site in the show notes for this episode, which you'll find at cdbabypodcast.com. Finally, if you've been experimenting with mobile marketing ideas for your music, please share with us. We want to know what you've been up to and things you've been trying out. Our listener line is 206-426-5683. That's 206-426-5683. 5683, and our email is info@cdbabypodcast.com. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of the podcast. We'll catch you next time. You've been listening to the CD Baby DIY Musician Podcast, broadcasting from Portland, Oregon, USA.